Listen up! This is serious business!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
You goddamn right this is
Yes! I am your man, Kevin Gordon Thomas.
You already know what it is. Clutch time.
It's the Heartless Arliss.
Yes, and this is Serious Business.
Yep.
The Not So Serious Podcast, episode 33. This is going to be
Spicy.
Spicy episode
convo.
33.
A deep convo, very enlightening.
And then we jump into manslaughter for throwing COVID parties. That's not very deep and enlightening. That's not very deep and enlightening.
Finish him.
Okay, that's the first thing you want to jump into. All right, no problem. If you're watching, if you're listening, we have a special guest with us. We were trying to get her on the show many times before. With COVID, we wanted to do this in studio, but obviously Dougie got us locked up.
Quarantine edition.
Quarantine. Here we go. We got Polyamorous Black Girl with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Polly.
Go. All right.
We are going to refer to her as Alicia because that is her name.
Yes.
So when everybody hears us going Alicia, they're going to be like, who the hell is that? Like,
That's me.
Polyamorous Black Girl. Here we go. All right. Well, first and foremost, how's everybody doing? Alicia, how you been?
I've been fantastic, oddly enough. Things are going really well for me.
yeah. How's the quarantine?
Years, but yeah, quarantine. How's it going for you?
I mean, I want to fucking go outside, and
You don't?
I'm tired of these. I do. I want to go outside.
Where do you go when you go outside? Are you allowed to say?
Where do I go when I go outside?
Yeah.
I mean, when the world is open, I go to all of the places.
Yeah.
I'm quite the traveler. I mean, I don't party, but like to sit in a bar and like socialize with other human beings, that would be a good time.
Would it?
You know, I think so.
First place you're going when everything opens back up.
Somewhere hot. California.
Cali?
Why of all Cali?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Why?
LA.
I gotta. My best friend lives out there.
I hate LA now, especially what they're doing to their people over there.
What are they
What are
doing?
they?
With their taxes and all these other things, and their
Bro, death
the
and
mayor's,
taxes.
huh?
Death and taxes.
Man, how the mayor's cheating on people over there. I don't want to go to Cali, but Cali is nice. I hear it is nice.
So tell us what's going on with polyamorous Black Girl, Alicia.
Oh, like, should I like introduce myself?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I'm Polyamorous Black Girl / Alicia. And it's like, I don't know what I feel like it is. It's a lifestyle blog. I talk about my relationships or lack thereof and what it's like to be a polyamorous Black girl in this digital age. And yeah, it's polyamory is getting into like the mainstream now. So in the past few years, it's been pretty interesting. I think Willow Smith just came out as polyamorous.
Yeah.
And there was a whole red table talk about it. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
So we can clearly say it wasn't an entanglement anymore.
Entanglement.
The entanglement with August. Yeah. That I haven't seen the episode actually. I know some people that were on it, but I'm not really sure if Jada and the grandmother are in like support of polyamory. I don't think Jada would describe her entanglement as polyamorous.
No. Infidelity.
Okay, so we'll break it down for somebody who's like I did my research on it, but I still want to hear it from somebody who's actually living the life. So what is it in layman's terms? Polyamory.
It is multiple relationships with the consent of everybody.
So a lot of people like polygamy versus polyamory. I know people get it confused all the time.
It's so fucking annoying.
Right. So and it's even worse because a lot of the words, a lot of the letters are the same, right? So people get it confused. So break it down as to what like are the two differences. So tell me a little bit about polygamy and then how they both differ.
So polyamory is multiple relationships with the consent of everybody, right? It has nothing to do with like gender or anything like that. It's just relationships and everybody's consenting to these relationships. Polygamy is about a man who has several wives, right? Several partners. So like that's the core difference, is that in polygamy, like I couldn't have multiple partners, right? So... And also polygamy is really like associated with
Mormonism.
Yeah. And, you know, the nation and religious shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So where did it start? And then I guess, when did it start to get like super popular, I guess, on the Western side?
When did polyamory start? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure of like, in terms of like the words and the language, like I'm not sure about the origins there, but like polyamory or like broadly non-monogamous relationships are not new, right? Like they're really old. It's monogamy that's new, right? And marriage.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's always been around, right?
Yeah. Because if you look at it like, as weird, if we really truly look at it, you know, somebody back in the ancient days, you know, selling their daughter to this, you know, 40-year-old guy, like that was regular back then. Now it's looked at as like, oh, that's kind of weird, right? So I would imagine, like polyamory and all these other things to us that I guess, seems new, probably very old. And it's just was something that I guess societies try to, I guess, hide or just really didn't approve of, right? Because I know on the Western side, I didn't really start hearing about it till I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago is when I started to hear about it in terms of its like popularity amongst people
coming into the mainstream.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is. Of it's like getting into the mainstream, because it's like it's always been right. Like it's always been around. And I wouldn't liken like polyamory or non-monogamy to like selling your daughter to a man.
No. What I was trying to say is like these things have always been going on. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's like fucked up, right? Whereas with non-monogamy, it's kind of just like, I think a healthier way, a more natural way of relating to folks, you know? And monogamy is...
So you hate on it?
I hate on like compulsory monogamy, right? So monogamy, when folks don't know there's other options, right? Where it's like, this is the only way you can have relationships. I have a problem with that. If folks like of their own free will, knowing all the options, choose monogamy, then but a lot of people don't know there's other options.
Right.
Especially because of societal pressures and stuff like that. Like they force it on you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's
exactly.
You're born into it. You don't know.
That's what it means to be normal. You got to do this to be normal.
Yeah. And it's like multiple relationships is seen as deviant in a lot of ways, right? Yeah. Like if you're talking to like more than one person at a time, like there's something wrong with you somehow.
Well, if the other person don't know about it, that's when it's wrong.
I mean, I think in general, though, I think people make judgments on like even when consent is going on, right? Like, so for me, the fact that I have multiple relationships, right? And everybody knows, people have like a very core issue with that.
Of course.
I think it's perverse for people.
Fuck them.
I mean, yeah.
Basically.
When I guess did you start to first experiment and then, you know, I guess bring it into your everyday life?
I think this ain't science. Wait, you think she got beakers of like men and shit? She's like,
nah, bro. Obviously something. Obviously some
goggles
heard about at first. And you're like, all right, let me look into this. Okay, let me see if this is for me. If I can like love two people at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't like hard, right? I think it's like monogamy is what's always been like hard for me, right? So, okay, so let's like break things apart.
You're a woman gallus. That's what you
Well, no, because that has such a negative connotation.
I know. I'm fucking around, yeah.
So I think, so like broadly, like there's non-monogamy, right? Which isn't always ethical. And then polyamory, which is ethical, meaning there's consent. Everybody knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I think I didn't know polyamory was a thing until like college, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And before that, I was really unethically non-monogamous, right? So I cheated, I was a side chick, I did all types of shit, right? Just because it made sense to me. I wanted what I wanted, right? Like, if I want you and you and you, I'll have it. And I didn't know there was a configuration that was like possible for me not to lie, or for people not to lie, right? Until I was in college and I was working at a sex club, and then I met polyamorous people.
Okay, we can't just blow by that right there. Hold on. You worked where?
At a sex club? A sex lounge, I guess.
A lounge? You're talking about Oasis?
I am talking about Oasis.
Okay, Arliss, we ain't gonna blow by that twice now. Did you have a membership?
I did. I had a 2-for-1 discount.
This guy's so stupid. Oh my God. All right. So what are, I guess, some of the myths that go along with polyamory that people just don't understand?
People think it's a lot of sex, a lot of orgies, that jealousy is not a thing.
That's the biggest thing for me.
But how does that work? How does that work with jealousy?
Yeah.
For me, I'm not a jealous person. Especially now. Like, a lot of people think I don't care, but it's just mostly that I'm just not that jealous about when it comes to relationships and friendships and stuff like that. But how does that work for people who are jealous? Like, wouldn't it be like a conflict in that way?
Okay, so let me ask you. So how does jealousy work in monogamous relationships?
If it seems like you're flirting, or you see someone flirting, that's like the first thing, is if somebody's flirting with obviously someone they're not in a relationship with. Jealousy, I guess. Yeah, if you see somebody with your significant other and you see them in a way that they're looking at that person the same way they look at you.
Mm-hmm. But like, how do you move through jealousy, right? Like, it's something that comes up.
Communication.
Whether or not. Yeah, exactly.
And your levels of comfort of, what's allowed and what's not, or just you personally,
So you have to have boundaries, right? So you make these boundaries that combats jealousy.
No, and it's more so trust.
I mean, like, you're not going to get rid of jealousy, right? I think regardless of what your relationship style is, like, people are insecure about a number of things, and whether or not like their partner is doing anything, people get jealous sometimes. And so in polyamory, like, I'm a Scorpio, I'm mad jealous. It comes up. All I do is communicate it and also recognize it's my responsibility to deal with that, because it's not about them, it's about me. Because if there's an actual problem in the relationship, right, we need to talk about that problem. Yeah. If I'm feeling insecure because, my partner is spending time with, my metamor, and a metamor is my partner's partner, and that makes me feel some type of way, I have to figure that out by myself. It's a personal problem.
Okay. You don't ever bring it up?
No, I bring it up, but just so they know, like, maybe if I'm snippy or have an attitude or something like that, like, that's where it's coming from. Like, I'm feeling jealous, and then I work on it. If they want to help me with that, they can, but ultimately it's something I need to work on.
Now, me personally, like, I don't believe in, like, my sign or whatever. I know I'm Pisces. I'm mad jealous of, you know what I mean? But I'm just trying to understand as to when you first get into these relationships, like, how does it work in terms of, like, is it everybody wants to live together, or is it like, even in marriage, how does that work?
So that depends on the relationships, right? So there's a lot of different kinds of poly. There's kitchen table poly, which is your relationships function as if you were sitting down at a kitchen table together, right? So everybody's kind of like in everybody's business. Okay. I have your number, all of that. We hang out.
Same thing if there's kids, the kids are all there. It's just like
all of that. Yeah. And then some people do parallel poly, right? Which the relationships don't interact or intersect, right? So my metamorph is my partner's partner. Like, I don't have their number. We don't talk. Like, those, they're independent. Right. So in terms of like cohabitation and things like that, it just depends on what your relationships look like. Right. Unless you're in a triad or a quad. Which should I explain what those are?
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's more bodies, right? So
I can figure out my options here.
I see Arliss typing here on the group doc. This guy's just typing in notes up to his girl.
Yeah.
So like a triad is like 3 people in a relationship. With
Quad's
each other.
4, yeah.
Yeah. So and then
I'm trying to understand. So you're meta. What's the term? The
a metamor?
Metamor. So you've never met your partner's partner.
No, that's not what that means. So metamor is your partner's partner, right? Like that's just what the word means.
Right.
So that's not your partner. That's their partner.
Their partner.
Yeah.
So you've never met them before.
No, I might, maybe. It has nothing to do with like meeting them.
Okay.
It's about like that's just what they're called.
Right. You don't interact with them or whatever, or you don't have a relationship with them.
If you're doing parallel poly.
Okay. And then table. Okay. Then kitchen table is where everybody can just mix and mingle. Mm-hmm. I'm not for the single. Just everybody's
mix and mingle, not for the
yeah, and not sexual relationships. They're just
okay, yeah. Well, because there's different levels of love, agape, and all these other things. So then that's what I want to ask you. Like, what is? I guess that's that question is like, what does love mean to you? Because it should mean to you what it should mean to everybody else in terms of trust and how you guys deal with one another each and every day. Which I think a lot of people get confused. Even just hearing you and how you talk with, how you interact and the different levels of it, because you still have love for that person. And would you say that you have love would you have love for your partner's partner if it was like a kitchen table thing? Like, is that something that's, I guess, obligated between everyone?
No. And you're not obligated. I don't even have to like my metamor, right? Like that's it. I don't have to like them at all. If I like them, that's cool. In my experience, it doesn't really like happen that often. I tend to not really enjoy a lot of the people my partners choose to date. Sometimes it's really cool. But there's something called compersion in polyamory so that's when you feel good about your partner's relationship with other people, right? It's not mandatory, but it's something that some people feel. And
you probably achieve that over time sometimes, right? Especially if you don't like them at first or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And so it's sometimes like not even about like them, but just like about what their relationship with your partner like does for your partner. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Like you can be like, I'm feeling really compursed because every time you're with so-and-so, like you're so bright and blah, 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 blah. Like I've had those moments because I can't be everything for a person, right? And so sometimes, a lot of times my metamors, right, are the kinds of people that I'm not, right?
Fill in where you lack, okay.
Exactly. So then you can kind of see, and that's the great thing about poly for me is like you can see your partner as being like this full person because they're getting everything they need from all of the people.
Now, with a little bit of pushback, would you feel like you can't do that with a monogamous relationship where that person works on you continually and you work on that person to then build each other up?
No, I think that's absolutely possible, but I don't think that in that relationship I can get everything I need, right? Like I think that's why, we have friends, we take care of ourselves, we do, work out, play, whatever the fuck you do to feed yourself, right? Like no one person can give you everything.
And that's the problem. That is really, that narrative is really expected in a lot of monogamous relationships. They say that I need to be your everything, or right. You know what I mean? I should be good enough for you. I've heard that before, So like, it's like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand the whole scene of it and it makes sense. But like, how doesn't that make you feel a certain way that you aren't enough for one person?
Sometimes, right? Like, and I think sometimes people think like people that are polyamorous and non-monogamous, like don't have a lot of like the same like internal struggles and like feelings, right? That
you just have different preferences. Like what the heck?
And we're in like a monogamous society, right? So I have been indoctrinated like with a lot of ideas about what relationships are supposed to be like, right? Like to be chosen, to be wifey, like to be the one, right? I mean, and I think Black women in particular, like that's the goal. Like you're worthless as a woman if you can't, make a man see you as like the only woman in the world, right? So
I feel like that's for a lot of women, even where it's like, if you don't get married, you're gonna be this bitter bitch, like you know what I mean, and and they get that's like that narrative and that fear. You know what I mean? A man probably can get a woman or whatever like that, but if you can't get married as a chick, like I see that a lot. Like in friends that I talk to, it's like, oh, you know, they don't want to. Some of them are fine. Where it's like, hey, if I don't get a man, that's fine. But they know that's like a thing that's looming over them.
Of course, because their mom is sitting there like,
Right.
Yeah, go get your mom.
Right.
You know, if an old man.
Right. Yeah.
What's wrong with she?
Right. Something wrong with you. It's your value.
And then the biggest one is when I was your age. That's how it always starts.
Oh, God.
But I would say you can get that out of a monogamous relationship, like where, yes, that person can't be your all, but it's just like even if you're rearing a child, you can't clutch. It takes a village, right? So even if, you know, you're building each other together in a monogamous relationship, there are other people, friends, other different types of relationships and different types of love that you can have with other people to where you can be built up and kind of get those things where you might not be getting from your spouse.
There's limits to those relationships though under monogamy, right? Like you can, like, let's say you have a really, really good friend, right? And, you know, I don't know, sexual, intimate, erotic feelings like emerge.
That's the part where it trips me out, where I don't know if I can handle that. Not if I don't know, I couldn't handle that shit. Especially if it's a dude as their, okay, I got to get this word right. What's your partner's partner? Tell me the term again.
Metamor?
If my girl Metamor was a dude, nah, I couldn't handle that. Nah, bro.
Why?
Nah. I'm too jealous. I'd be too jealous for that.
But what's it about? Like, so your girl can have, like, her best friend can be a man. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not one of those. Like, I have tons of friends who are girls.
Mm-hmm.
But when the sexual part comes into it, that's where I'm like, nah.
So it's the sex.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's for a lot of people when they first see or hear about polyamory and the lifestyle is the sex that comes with it. Obviously, you can get these other things to build one another up, but then once that comes into play, I think that's where a lot of people that's where the line is.
Yeah,
right.
That always. So me and Alicia have been friends for a while. So whenever I talk about her to like just like a random person in passing and stuff, they instantly go to sex.
Yeah,
it's like this is isn't that a whole bunch of like a sexual thing? And I in my head I was just like, I don't think everything is just about sex.
Yeah,
you know
of course not.
Yeah, so I don't know why. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying I don't know why some people have that mentality about it.
I mean, I think it's because that's how monogamous people look at their relationships, right? Like, I think what holds the foundational thing for you all is the sex, right? That you're fucking one person, only one person. Yeah. And that's how you understand like your relationships. Whereas, so polyamory, that's not the case at all. I actually had more sex when I was pretending to be monogamous. I have less sex now, far less. Right? But I think monogamous people look at relationships through that lens. Yeah. It's like, y'all are putting that on us because it's not
the stigma.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Arliss, why are you inclined
to
getting into a poly relationship?
I'd be down.
Or a non-monogamous relationship, because it's like swinging, for example. That's a non-monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
And the stigma that I got when I hear swingers is like cougars and like middle-aged men. That's the first thing I always think of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of that.
But like I would be down because for me it wouldn't really be about this. It would be about because of how I get along with other people. Mm-hmm. Especially I tend to get along with females a lot better than I do with most guys. Most of my friends are these two and my family. So you know what I mean? So that would be more so my thing. Like the fact that I would get to talk and build something with another person type of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Relationship wise. But I mean,
intimate relationships with other people. I think as like human beings, we need that, right? Like we need connection.
Okay. So then, So then what is the difference, I guess, between a regular relationship and then something that has the sexual part to it, right? Because you're saying you have less sex now. And I'm not saying sex is like the top tier thing when it comes to any type of relationship. But like for somebody who's monogamous like myself, and obviously the first thing I thought of was like sex, then what other, like what took you away from monogamy? Or had you feeling like you were faking it for all these years before you then went over?
For me, it's all the restrictions, right? Like monogamy requires you to have a relationship in a particular way, right? Like there's like this performance, and there's something called the relationship escalator, right? You know, it's like the talking phase.
Yeah.
Dating, and then you fuck, and then this, and then you move in together, and then marriage.
You're courting, yeah.
All of that, right? And that for me is really, really restrictive. And that's just not how I relate. It feels unnatural because sometimes relationships don't go in that way, right? In polyamory, there's something called a comet. And a comet is a person that you have a romantic, intimate relationship with that comes in and out of your life. And there's no expectation of like formalized partnership. In monogamy, right? Like that's unacceptable because if you do certain things, your relationship must go to a certain place. Right. Otherwise, like somebody's, playing games with you or they don't really like you just because the relationship doesn't manifest in a certain way. And so for me, I didn't like that. It didn't feel honest. And I want relationships to be like a landscape and not an escalator. From
the face of that, though, when you say for somebody to kind of come and go, it just doesn't seem like it's consistent.
But I mean, if it works for me and it works for them, then it works. Yeah, but
okay. So then, like, what do you mean come and go in terms of like what? In terms of you guys are communicating with one another. And again, I'm not just keeping it to like a whole sex thing because we're not, you know what I mean? We're not just going to be primitive, right? Like, when you're saying come and go in terms of how much you guys communicate, how you build one another, like explain that.
So, okay, let me give an example. So I've had this relationship with this guy for like 4 years, right? We've never formalized anything, whatever, right? But it's a sexual, intimate, close relationship. And we'll relate and hang out and talk and all of that for months, right? And then at a certain point, we kind of just both, it fizzles out.
Yeah.
And we don't really say anything. The relationship kind of just fizzles out. But I love him very much. And sometimes he manifests and texts me and we start again. And sometimes I do the same to him. And that's been 5 years, 4 or 5 years of that, right? That is a really, really powerful dynamic relationship. And when I tell people, monogamous friends, about that, they think of it like, he doesn't really like you. Why are you continuing to talk to that guy? It's not this, it's not it. They can't see the value of it because it doesn't turn into boyfriend, girlfriend, right? So I think there's just a lot of really amazing possibilities to know people, experience people, value people without being so restricted.
Or putting a label is what you're saying.
Right. So I was dating this guy and he used to call me, like if his partner would be over at his house or whatever, cooking together, blah, blah, blah. He used to call me to like check in and I can hear the laughing, giggling. And it's like,
yeah.
I would get very, very jealous. And then I'd be talking to him crazy. And I'm like, okay, no, this is not healthy. And so I was like, so the boundary is like, I would appreciate if you didn't call me when you're with your other partners.
Okay. So then it goes back to that level of how comfortable you are, because, right, that's not like the kitchen table one where, everybody can just. No, I mean, that could be a kitchen table situation and me still not want to hear them on dates, right? Like that could be my homegirl. I could be really cool with her and everything and still not want to hear that, right? Like, But are you hold on. But then are you still happy for your partner, for him to be, giggling up the place and all kind of other thing? Like, you're still happy for him, even though he called you or she called you and they're with somebody else, and that?
They're two separate things, right? Like, I'm happy for him and his relationship and whatever, but I can also feel like insecure and jealous because I'm insecure about a number of things, right? Yeah. Like, maybe I want to be with him and maybe he's laughing in a way that he laughs with me, right? And that makes me feel insecure. I don't want to hear that, right? That doesn't mean I'm not happy for him being happy.
Now could that then stir up arguments where it's like, well, my partner is happy when they hear me giggling and I'm with you, so why can't you be happy when I'm with them, kind of thing? But that's everybody, everybody has different levels of what they're cool with.
Yeah.
That's the part that would that's the part that would get me, because then we don't even have to go and talk about it sexually. It's like, where when you were asking me like where in a monogamous relationship would somebody be jealous? Of course, like if I hear or if it looks like you're flirting, or if you're giggling up and you're laughing, they making you laugh the same way I make you laugh, and that type of tone in your laugh is coming out, but I'm like, yo, I'm the only one who's supposed to hit them kind of notes when it comes to the laughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
what are the notes they hitting?
Nigga, just
right? No, but then your brain can start spiraling out of control. But then you have to, like, I always go back to the place of like, okay, this is a whole human being, right? And I can't decide I can't have such control over them, or lack of control over myself, that I can't allow them to have whatever experience they're having, right? Like, I think so long as what we have going on when we're together is good, I shouldn't compare to other relationships. It's not healthy to do that. It has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew all of them off by heart, but there's different levels of love, right? You obviously know. So then there's agape, and
you're on a computer. What the hell you mean you don't know? Just...
I Clutch, you haven't said much, so can you Google it for me?
Okay, what is your...
Go for it.
There's several different levels.
Welcome to the Clutch engine. We shall be searching
the levels of love.
So that's where, like,
so there's eros, which is erotic, passionate love.
Yeah.
Philia, love of friends and
the friendship one. Yeah.
Storge, Storge. Mm-hmm. Love of parents for children, and agape, love of mankind. So there's four.
So that's, like, again, where it gets really weird for me to understand. It's like, is it a full-on relationship that you're having with this person, or is it just a different type of love that you can have with people, to where you can get that from a friend, from a relative, or something like that? Okay. That's where it's hard for me to get over that barrier.
I hear what you're saying.
What's the difference between a romantic relationship and a friendship, right? Like, what are the differences?
You're not fucking.
It's the sex.
It's and the intimacy,
right?
The level of intimacy.
That's basically it, because you're doing this. You're sharing certain information of your life with that person. You guys are doing stuff together as for, like, it's just the vibe. Like, you guys are just clicking together, hanging out. You're joining each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
But why couldn't I do most of that with my friend?
Why can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you?
That's what I'm saying. Why not?
I mean,
because hold on, because you said now that you're in this type of relationship, you're having less sex. So then, is it that you just have a bunch of best friends? Like bring it down for me then.
No, I have relationships.
Okay,
right?
of course, yeah,
and intimate, romantic, sexual, whatever you want to call them, relationships, right? But I have less sex just because there's just more people, more moving parts, time, lots of things to think about, right? Like, rather than this one dedicated person that I'm having sex with, like, all the time. It's like, I always question monogamous people's, like, what's the value in the relationships? Like, is it just really about the fucking, ultimately, right? Like, that's what's holding your relationship together. The fact that you, for lack of a better word, own this person's body and they own your body. Like, that's what makes it deep.
I mean, I'm going to disagree and say it's not about the sex. I want to say it's more so about the romance. Because you can have friends who fuck and
What's
there
romance?
be no romance in there. I guess that's the vibe. That's the vibe. I mean, the romance, the romance is, I mean, more, it feels like courting, right? But
you make
I can have sex with somebody. I can have sex with somebody without romantically wooing them. You know what I mean? But I can't be in a relationship with somebody without the romance, without that feeling of that I don't know. I guess it's a different level of connection. Can I say? I don't know how to explain it.
Because there's certain things that obviously you'll share with that said person that you're not just going to share with
your
regular friend kind of thing, right? There's levels of trust when, you know, you're not going to say, even though that person might be your best friend, there's still certain things you're going to tell to that person you're in a relationship with, that you're not going to for just a regular friend.
You choose to do that though, right? Because you understand relationships as only existing in like the dyad, right? So it's like, I don't think it's a thing of like I can only be intimate with one person, and I can only you can do it with multiple people, but you only feel like you're allowed to do it with this one person, right? So it's kind of like it's possible, right? It's just a choice. Monogamous people are making a choice to only have high level intimacy with one person, and polyamorous people are making a choice to have that with several. Because why not? Right? Like, why are we convincing ourselves that you're only sexually and romantically attracted to one person? It's not true, right? Like, you develop feelings, you have eyes, body.
You've gone through breakups, and you've gone through, because last episode we talked about can you be with more than one? Is there only one person for you? And I said no. Yeah. Right? There was not one person for you in this world. So if you could have them all at the same time, right?
You're basically having your cake and eating it too.
Not necessarily, because you don't know that person's level of comfort. Again, that's what it comes down to. It comes down
to that's what it comes down to.
I think that whole cake thing is so interesting, because why can't I eat my fucking cake? It's mine.
I know, right? It's my cake. I want to eat it.
And I think that's the question of just like, why are we agreeing to like this restrictive way of loving?
The societal norms.
For what?
I think also
that's what we're told. We must do what we're told.
Even the level of, and this is where I think every monogamous person will agree, is, you know, the level of commitment to just one person, like commitment of saying, I'm going to just be with this person or that person, right? Because, and I guess in any polyamorous relationship, is it, so you said there's triples, there's triads, and then there's quads. And can it go up?
Sure.
There?
Sure.
And you have to let the other person know.
Yeah, everybody has to agree.
Or else then it's just straight cheating.
Yeah. Right. Polyamory is ethical. But also, like,
and what if someone doesn't agree? Then what?
I mean, then you can't have those relationships.
They're not about it.
Yeah. Like, it just won't work. But also, like, triads and quads and all that shit, like, that's not like the norm. That's super common. Like, those are the hardest relationships to like make work, right? Generally, like, they're independent of each other.
Okay.
Wow.
Speaking of triads, Arliss,
are you in a triad?
No.
I mean,
well, before you came on, Clutch was looking up polyamory, and you were saying something about it could be used against you in court or something like that, like some weirdness.
Yeah,
I want you to explain that.
So it says polyamory is not a legally protected status like being straight or gay. You can lose your job for being polyamorous. I
don't know about all of that. Like, I want you to clear that up.
Courts can use it against you in child custody proceedings. Polyamory and non-monogamy take many different forms.
Yeah, that is true. And that's why a lot of kind of like polyamorous organizers are trying to get like the laws changed, because there are no like, so polyamorous, like parents, people, like it gets very complicated and it is often used against people, and they have like kids taken away because
they can be like, well, you have so many people around your kid, and like, and how is it really safe and
deviant and shit like that. But there has been changes. Like I think it was in Newfoundland or something like that. Is that three people were awarded custody of a child? So
really.
Changes are coming.
So all of them can write the kids off on their taxes. That's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, that's probably the biggest argument come April.
All right, so who's trying to team up? Who's trying to save some money?
That actually is a thing a lot of polyamorous people do in the States, right? Like they start LLCs together, and that's how they everybody's protected in the relationship.
Oh, that's smart.
Right.
Use a system that's using you.
What are some of the other struggles that you think polyamorous people go through right now? Because obviously, like, it seems like you're an advocate. If I look at your page and stuff like that, you're more of like an advocate for it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think are some of the main struggles that the polyamorous community must overcome?
I mean, I think the biggest things for sure, like recognition, right? Like just social, right? And political, like recognition, because it just complicates your life when you have multiple relationships. And for a lot of people that are like, it's egalitarian relationships. So they're all equal and they're like all meaningful. But if like you can only marry one, and that presents like a bunch of problems. And also I think things around abuse and like domestic violence and those sorts of things, there aren't any resources for polyamorous people. So that kind of complicates when shit goes wrong. There's nowhere for a polyamorous person to go if they're being like abused in their relationship. You're confused.
No. I'm trying. No. Can't they? Well, I'm confused. Like, can't they just go to any regular place that gives support for people who are abused?
But you would think, right? But what it is that because most people don't really understand polyamory, they don't understand how to offer support in those types of configurations, right? So if they've never heard of a triad, they don't know how those relationships work. They're staunchly monogamous. When it comes to abuse, their mind can't even like wrap their head around the fact that that's possible in a polyamorous relationship.
Of course, abuse can happen anywhere, but can't you just go to any other support group and then like say, okay, this person is abusing you. This is how we can deal with it.
They're going to be like, what's your home life like? And they're going to be like, well, it's this and this and this. And they're going to be like, okay, well, what does that mean? That sounds abusive. He's abusing you. You might want to get rid of, you can't let him abuse you because he's having everything he wants and he's using you. There's going to be those
I wasn't coming at it from that angle. I'm saying
this is what they would get
using you.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this is what the person would say to them.
Exactly.
You go to somebody and you go to a social worker and say, I'm being abused. They're going to ask about your home life. Yeah. They're going to ask about your relationships. And when they see these things that they don't see as normal, they won't understand it.
What they do, because I had this happen to me with a therapist. I was trying to get support about one of my relationships and I'm explaining the relationship. And so he identified the problem as polyamory, not what was happening to me in the relationship. Right. So like, that's the barrier. So if it's like all of the same abusive things that happen in monogamous relationship happen in poly relationships, right? It just kind of structured a little differently. There's more players involved, right? But they don't, poly people that are just told like, well, maybe you should just be monogamous. And
that's what I was thinking.
That.
No, I was going to be like, well, if that person's abusing you, you need to find another person. That's it.
Nope. That's not how the game goes, unfortunately. So yeah, there's a lot of problems, a lot of different things. I think in the Black community in particular, there's a lot of people who think polyamory is like white people shit. So that's
white people think that. Yeah,
that's something that needs to be addressed, I think, because it's. I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like we can have any kind of relationship structure we want, and it has nothing to do with white people.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigmas on the black community. I'm really any community, because I'm assuming you probably could find this maybe somewhere maybe not, maybe in Russia, I don't know, or some places in Asia. Like where that's the question I should ask you, is where would you find the most polyamorous people, if you know?
I mean, globally, I mean, I don't know. There's polyamorous people. Okay, let's say that there's more non-monogamous people than I think monogamous people realize. Like,
hold on, you said more non-monogamous people?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, I think people just don't talk about it because there is a lot of stigma, right? Like, to be out and polyamorous or non-monogamous, it's just, there's a lot of judgment.
I feel like the lines are blurred.
You're fucking and swinging and all types of weird shit is going on. It's just very, when it's really like a lot of little dates and special text messages and like cute lovey-dovey shit, actually.
I think when people would get it mixed up is they for some people who identify as being monogamous, is more a lot of people would just refer and be like, oh, that person, they just a player, or they just like to get down kind of thing, right? I think that's where a lot of people get confused, is that's all they can really think about. That's the first thing I would think about, to be honest. Like, if you were to tell me, oh, somebody's not non-monogamous, so it's like, oh, they just like to,
he's blowing out backs.
But it's like, there's people that are asexual, you know what I mean? Or who just aren't super sexual beings, right? I think for a lot of, monogamous people, right, the relationships are about far more than sex, or at least they should be.
And you'll find that even in any, in some monogamous relationships too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should all be more than just sex.
Yeah, they should be, right? And it's like, if you can have multiple friends, right? Like, why can't you have multiple partners?
Nah.
Right, like, what if Becky gives better head than Susan?
And let's just be honest, right? It's not.
Because literally, I literally was thinking of a question. I'm like, well, like, what if one partner doesn't want to do something, but the other one will?
Yeah.
It's like,
you find a freakily partner.
I mean,
well, some people don't like anal. Right? What if Susan likes anal?
Exactly. And
I'm not gonna go see Tiffany on Tuesday.
And have all your needs met. Why not?
It's like Burger King. Have it your way, man.
Nah, because when youths come into the play, and
not the children argument.
We got
not the children.
Not the children.
Was that in The Simpsons? Not the children.
I mean, what's the children argument? Because I mean, I've heard it many a time before. Like, but don't you want kids? Yeah. Okay.
Can't you still have kids?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
polyamory does not make you infertile. Is that a word?
Why would it make you?
Why would it make you? Arliss, just hey, Arliss.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
What?
That's exactly what I'm saying. People are like, well, don't you want to have kids? Well, no, it doesn't make it. I'm still fertile. That's nothing to do with it.
Literally. It's like, but the question really is like, what does that look like, right? Who are you having the kids with?
That's what, listen, if I was in a polyamorous relationship and my partner and her partner, and he was a gentleman, and we're both getting her pregnant, nah, I couldn't deal with that.
Why?
Nah.
Okay, but what if you
getting her pregnant?
What if you met somebody and then they have a child and then you start dating and then you have a child with them? Is that not the same thing?
Good question.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Monogamy is saying the weirdest shit sometimes. It's because it's like,
that is true.
You have relationships with people that have
but but if you get in a relationship with somebody who already has a kid, or especially in a monogamous relationship, you're expected to not be in a relationship with the same person you already had a ute with. So I already came to
when you have kids with someone, you always have a relationship with them.
Because they're a part of your life no matter what. Because you share that kid.
I understand, but then you know that there isn't anything sexual going after that. In a monogamous relationship. I get into a relationship with somebody, she has a kid. I'm not thinking, and we have a kid together. So now she has a kid with me and a gentleman.
Yeah.
I know she's not going to have another kid with him because she's with me.
How do
You
you know
don't.
that?
That's the thing. You don't know that.
Well, then we go into Maury. It's like, that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? That's the only part. That's
But then it's like you can like break up and then she could have a kid with him. It's like
but that again, that's where commitment comes in, right? So
but it's not like a lack of commitment though, because it's like what's commitment? Like what are we actually talking about? Are we saying that like I own you? That's commitment, or is it like you
Brand the bitch.
right? When I was talking to this guy and he was talking about how, relationships are about, riding it until the wheels fall off. And I'm like, you don't hear that, how that's fucked up. Why do you want the wheels to fall off? I want my fucking wheels to stay on.
yeah, but
So
what
like,
about when you see them old ass couples and he's still slapping her booty, wrinkled ass and all?
yeah, I mean, that's not the wheels falling off to me. This
is the thing about regular traditional monogamy that like gets on my nerves. It's like, oh, as soon as you get married, it's over now. It's over now. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you going in with that type of mentality? And then you're setting yourself up for failure. So I'm trying to change the stigma of what's the norm in monogamy to just be, we're going to be married for 50 years and be miserable for 30. Like, what?
That's because you haven't been married yet.
But also, like,
Didn't I tell you to mute yourself?
Sorry, my bad.
but it's also like sometimes you fall out of love with people, right?
Hold on. Okay. So I was reading an article and this one lady was asking this old couple, they were married for, I think, 50 years. And she asked them, what is the secret to the two of you being together for so long? I believe we talked about this on the podcast before, a couple of episodes ago.
Last episode, actually. Last episode.
Right. So now they said it wasn't that we fell out of love. We didn't fall out of love at the same time. There's ebbs and flows. Sometimes it won't be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 60-40. Sometimes it'll be 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's 100-0.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think also like when people like get married, this idea of like commitment, like we get married, and so it's like even if I don't like you fucking anymore, we're married, and so I'm gonna be committed. I think that's bullshit, right? Like I don't think that's really a healthy way to relate to people, right?
Waiter, my husband's cold. Can I get a new one, please?
This one's rare. I asked for medium well. Right?
I can go for a nice steak now. Medium.
Medium
well, bro. Medium
Nigga,
well.
what?
Yeah, man.
Medium well.
Do you all really just want to be with one person like forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clutch? God damn, this nigga been taking notes, eh?
Clutch, how do you feel? Tell me how you really feel.
I mean, I was in like an open relationship like for a bit, and like in the beginning it was like cool because like it wasn't about sex, but then like once the sex aspect came into it, like KT was saying, like it just kind of like changed everything more or less. So it's like I can see the benefits, but then it's like as a person, it's like, can you handle the consequences?
I don't think Alicia would classify it as consequence, but
it's like, I mean, it could be, right, depending on what your perspective is on it, right? Like it could be a consequence, and don't get me wrong, like I don't think it's for everybody, right? Because it's a lot of deep personal work, and you like discover things about yourself that like maybe you didn't really want to see or know, or like, I'm mad insecure about all of these things.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, right? And some people you don't want to have that experience, right? Like I had that all the time because
I feel like
every new partner my partner would have is like, it brings up a new thing, right? That like I don't have, that they have, that I want, or do I really want this, or am I just jealous? Like all of that shit. But for me, it's worth it, right? Like all that difficult shit, it's worth it.
I feel like even, especially going back on what you said, Black people being insecure wasn't cool until about maybe 6 years ago. That's when it was like mental health and all those other things, which came for like everybody. Do you know what I mean? In our generation. But I feel like for like black people to say you're insecure or you feel a certain way, like that shit wasn't allowed. Or it's like, or as a male to say, you know, I'm nervous or I want to cry or all these other things. Yeah. That shit wasn't like allowed. So I think for everybody to be honest with yourself, you know, it's admirable for you to be like, yeah, like I'm insecure about all these things and you're open about it and you're not like scared to say it because most people are, but they just don't want to say shit.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm like super terrified all the time though. Like, let's not pretend that like it's very, very, very scary, but it makes me better at relationships when I like say the thing that I'm fucking terrified about. Right. So it's better or else I'm just like sitting in these like shitty feelings. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, so many other questions I have, but we're going to keep it moving. We're going to have to bring you back for sure, but this is good.
Bring you back for a part 2?
Yeah.
In studio.
Yes.
Definitely.
In studio.
Hopefully you don't get charged with manslaughter.
Right?
Oh, yeah. For if we have a COVID
party, you
hold
can
on, but is it a party with 4 people?
I don't know.
No, probably not.
Should be good with that.
Anything could be a party. A gathering could be considered a party.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Manslaughter for throwing a party, that's some bullshit.
Imagine catching a manslaughter charge for throwing a party.
That's a lot.
It's like, what?
That's a lot. Wow. That's a little bit. Yo, we appreciate everybody for listening so far. This is Serious Business and Not So Serious Podcast. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Our Twitter, which is SeriousBiz_pod. Our Instagram, which is Serious Business Podcast. Make sure that you spell business BIZNESS, and our YouTube, which is Serious Biz. Alicia, we got this game here that we call Pick 3. You never played it before, but Arliss picked.
Because she's picking like 8, 9.
Arliss picked a good one today.
Yes.
Oh, he went in his bag,
I
boy.
went digging in the bag. It's pick 3 of these old school throwback games, the classics.
We'll call them classics. We'll call them the pioneers.
Everybody got it pulled up?
Oh wait, where's
hold on, I'll put it in the chat.
Is the shot? Le shot?
No, I'll put it in the chat so she has it.
So I mean, I guess I'll do what Mr. Kevin Gordon Thomas does. It is going from left to right. Pick 3 of the classic games. Number 1 is Donkey Kong Country for Super Nintendo.
Oh, that's good.
Number 2 would be NBA Jam. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I guess we'll just do the specific game because that's the one right there. Super Mario World, Aladdin, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat, and The Legend of Zelda.
That's hard.
That is hard.
Nope.
It's easy for you?
All right, I put it in the chat there.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Pick 3. Hard. You can only pick 3 of these.
Okay, so how much games on this list have you guys played? How many games have you guys played on this list?
Okay.
All of them except for Aladdin.
All of them except for NBA Jam.
All of them except for Zelda, because I didn't start liking Zelda until Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, me too. All of them except for Zelda. Like I've played Zelda in passing, but I've never sat down and played it.
Yeah. So we all can. Have you played it, Alicia?
And just for our listener, this is not the N64 version.
These are all the classic.
Well, not Super Nintendo because he has a Sega Genesis game.
No. I'm talking about Zelda.
Okay.
Zelda, because you guys haven't played it, but it's not the N64 version.
All right.
Or once you start kicking up the chickens attack you in the farm.
All right, let's go first.
Okay. My number 1 is going to be I played a lot of NBA Jam, yo. I played a lot of NBA Jam, so I would have to take NBA Jam on there.
Right off the bat, I gotta choose Donkey Kong. Come on, man. I had the Nintendo SP, the little flip, and I had all of those games, just including this. But man, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, like
yeah.
That's the thing. Lisa, who you choosing?
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, come on.
Donkey Kong.
Come on. Excellent choice, Madame Clutch.
Mortal Kombat.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Donkey Kong as well. I'm gonna have to go with Donkey Kong as. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm taking Super Mario World.
Ooh.
Taking
Of
Super
course,
Mario
you
World.
have to. Like,
Gotta
I
take
still
Super
play that on the
Mario World.
Android. How you mean?
What?
APK? iPhone what?
Sonic, dog. I used to play Sonic on I got the Sega Genesis, bro. It circulates between me and my other brother, and we have it for like.
Which Sega did you have? No. I mean, did you have just the cartridge one, or did you have the one with the CD and the cartridge?
Yep.
Oh
Gosh,
shit.
lungs are trung.
Sonic, bro. At least who you got?
I'm gonna have to go with Aladdin.
Aladdin.
It's Aladdin for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that game was hard as shit to beat. I had that
Love that game.
Sega. I had on Sega. It's hard.
Clutch time.
Super Mario
Super
World.
Mario World. That game has so many memories, man. So many memories.
No.
My final one is going to be Aladdin. I probably played that game the most. I mean, I played Sonic a lot too, but Aladdin, I don't know. There's always throwing those apples, man. Throwing those apples, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yo.
Mario Kart. I don't know why nobody picked Mario Kart. Like what? Throwing the
64
turtles?
one's better. 64
Yeah.
one's better.
Yeah, because the 64 one's
Yeah.
better.
Whatever. Yeah. Lisa.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Get over here.
Clutch.
NBA Jam.
NBA Jam. Well, Alicia, did you guys watch the new Mortal Kombat movie? I heard it was
Yep,
trash. I heard it
watched
was
it.
good.
I haven't seen it yet.
I think I'm going to watch it today was my plan.
I heard they did too much, and the graphics were garbage, but the fighting scenes were dope.
Well, that's what you got to watch Mortal Kombat for.
Yeah,
I mean, the fighting scenes were very rehearsed.
as they should have been.
Like, no. Like, when you watch it, you'll be like, oh.
It's very hard to pull off a fighting game as a movie. I don't know why they would even attempt something like that.
Right?
It's like so impossible. Like you cannot, and you're not
No
going to
story.
get.
Yeah.
The only nostalgia you'll get from it is the name, and then after that is like,
Yeah, when you see the character walk up and you're like, oh, okay, he's got to do the move. You got to do the move. But in terms of story, that's the one thing I heard from everybody is that like the story was garbage because there's really no plot to this.
No, it was the backstory as to why
why
the
they
beef
got
is
the
going in
beef. Yeah,
between.
yeah.
I don't want to hear
why
no
they got
I heard that's
backstory.
garbage.
The only thing I want to hear is get over here. That's all I want to hear. I'm watching the movie just for that. Okay, that's all I want to hear.
Yeah.
So my 3 was NBA Jam, Super Mario World, and Aladdin.
Donkey Kong, Sonic, Super Mario Kart. Lisa, that's you.
Oh, what was mine? Mine was
You had Aladdin. You had
Aladdin, Donkey Kong, and fucking
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Combat.
Mortal Kombat, Super Mario World, NBA Jam for me.
Yee. Well,
You see?
Donkey Kong's one of the greatest games ever created. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, games that aren't on this list.
Oh, on the bench,
Off the bench, eh?
off the.
I'm going Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct. Yeah.
Combo breaker.
Did you guys play like Double Dragon?
Ooh,
No Double Dragon?
hell yes.
Battletoads?
Battletoads.
Oh.
Castlevania was pretty sick.
Castlevania was good. And I really wanted to put Super Metroid on here, but
Ooh.
What about GoldenEye?
GoldenEye?
You didn't like GoldenEye?
Yeah. Nobody.
GoldenEye was that was like one of the first best multiplayer games ever.
I loved GoldenEye.
Never played it.
You never played GoldenEye?
Oh,
Missed it.
Really?
you're slipping.
Nah.
Bro.
Yeah, a little bit old. Yeah, a little bit older than me. So
Well, that's making me feel old.
What was that? What year was that?
GoldenEye? I feel like I want to say 92, 95,
are we
97.
I think 97.
97?
As time goes on, have we now become the old heads, as they say?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the old head?
100%.
Nah.
Especially I've been on TikTok and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like,
It's a lot.
they're dressing like how I dressed in high school and calling it like throwback and shit. I'm like, when did that happen?
It's like, what do you mean throwback? I got this in my closet still.
Right?
You know, I felt really old. The other day I was looking out my window and I seen like it was like Friday. This was Friday, 2 days ago. And I'm looking out my window and our garbage day is Monday and there's recycling bins, empty recycling bins still out there on Friday. I'm getting mad. I'm like, who the hell leaves their freaking recycling bin outside for 5 days? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm old as shit, man. I'm old as shit. I'm getting mad at people not picking up their recycling bins.
I get about like home goods and shit, like plates and like.
I'm scrolling when you get your ads on Instagram, and I'm like, clothes, dishware. Oh my god!
It's the dishware for
When
me.
I first jump on a TikTok, and I haven't even really gotten into it, I was like, yo, I really got to look up a tutorial for an app. I thought it was the tech guy. Like I'm gonna have to ask somebody to help me with this. That scared me.
Yeah.
No TikTok for me.
Huh?
No TikTok.
No TikTok for me. The only TikTok I want to hear is TikTok, TikTok, TikTok pond. This cock.
Clutch was planning that joke all week.
Oh,
No, I just thought about
He
it.
was planning that joke
the topic
all week. This nigga was waiting for it. Are we the old heads? But coming eventually, yeah. I should be next up to have a youth.
Yeah.
Alicia, do you want kids?
Yeah.
How many?
How many? As many as my body will allow.
Jesus.
Yo, I was doing some research and
That's the biggest mistake ever.
And I can afford.
don't listen to him. Don't listen to
Kids. I love kids.
But I mean, I really just want to be pregnant, though.
You do? Oh my god, that's even worse.
You're one of those?
No, but I thought about being a surrogate.
Really?
Oh.
You feel like you get fat and swollen and you're in pain.
I get to grow a person. That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of dope. I was doing
Grow
some
a
research.
person.
Like science.
Give it
class.
20 years and we'll be able to make one in a test tube, okay?
Guess, give me a number.
Yeah.
Oh, the person who's had the most children in the entire world. Who's had the most children, who's bared the most children out of her uterus. What's the number? Do you guys know?
30.
Keep going.
No way.
Bro.
101 Dalmatians.
Chill out, Cruella DeVille. Next.
68.
Oh, yeah, 69.
Yeah, I think I read an article or something.
It was an Indian lady, bro. 69
deep.
youths out of her womb.
Mm.
That's a dope fallopian tube. I'm gonna give it to you.
No, that how can you? I honestly don't understand how you can have a certain amount of children and still want more. I honestly don't get that concept.
I mean,
Well, think about it. When it happened,
It's like
like there
doing
was nothing
drugs.
else to do but like have kids. What do you mean?
some people like having children.
But you got to deal with them after. That's the thing. Sure, pop them out, but like dealing with them after.
Back then, they probably treat them like birds. Like when birds are born, the mom picks them up and flies out and lets them go. You got to fly a knot. So back
So you're
then,
telling me to throw my kids out the window. That's basically.
Arliss,
Michael Jackson, you're you.
Michael Jackson.
I mean, there are some like non-monogamous communities where like the fathers like don't know whose kid like is actually like theirs, so like everybody's
Seriously?
their kid, so everybody's responsible.
So you're telling me that I could have one kid or not have any kids at all and still be responsible for a whole pack?
I was thinking
Fuck
about his
that,
pocket.
man.
I was thinking about his
out.
pocket.
No, I'm out.
It's not just it's the whole community is responsible for all of the
A
children.
village. It's a village, bro. It's
Well,
a village.
Maybe that's where that saying stemmed from.
Right?
Well, please show me the village so I can put my kids there.
This is the one guy that's been telling me he loves his kids, but if he had no kids, it's all good.
Oh, good, man. My daughter always looks at me like I'm old. She always says shit. She'll be like, oh, you don't know about TikTok. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I know about TikTok. What are you talking about? I know the ticket.
It was called
I know
Vine.
the ticket. It was, yeah.
Right.
Vine. Do it for the Vine.
Right.
She'll just roll her eyes.
Oof. I was so vexed, man. I was so ready to like start an account and everything. And I went on it. Boom. It's like only for Apple. I said, shit. But you could watch them, but you couldn't make any off of Android when it first came out.
What, Vine?
Vine, yeah. It was only for Apple.
I think TikTok did the same thing.
What do you mean?
In the start.
In the start?
Yeah.
Well, then they realized unless they want to end up like, you know.
Well, not to get too techie, but it's just easier to develop for Apple because all the phones are the same. So that's usually why they do it first.
Okay. That's why Clubhouse hasn't come over yet.
Yeah.
Oh, Clubhouse.
Are you on it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Which one, how many rooms do you dive into?
I mean, I was heavy into Clubhouse when it first came out, and so I was like I'd just be in and out of rooms, just like jokes. But then it's like weird now, so I'm not really on it at all.
My friend pointed out a point. She was like, oh, it's going to be so big where now all the big time speakers are not going to go in as much. So then it'll be like a new wave of, I guess, like the second tier speakers and kind of thing. But the only issue I have with Clubhouse. And the same thing, I was listening in a room and Grant Cardone was there and he was like, this is gonna be great for me, but for people who don't have businesses or don't have all these different opportunities to them, you're going to all these different rooms and getting 6, 7, 20,000 ideas and you don't know where to go. It's gonna be very confusing. Because I was listening and I'm like, oh, that's so dope. Oh, that's so dope. That's so dope. That's so dope. But the action. You know,
well, have you seen that Twitter has released their own version of Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Spaces or something?
Spaces, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Twitter's always been...
survived.
Twitter is... You know what's funny? I just read a thing that... Oh, no, that wasn't Twitter. Twitter, I don't know how Twitter's surviving, but Twitter's great, man.
It actually, it's like a dumpster fire, though. Like, sometimes it's really great and hilarious, and then other times it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Jesus.
is happening on here?
I just jumped...
Like Reddit.
And all
I was just about to say, I just jumped on to Reddit.
Porn?
There's so much porn.
Oh my gosh, my Twitter is crazy.
This is why.
It's like also it's like really good porn, I feel.
Oh man.
Yo, I'm in a Discord with exclusives. You almost said it.
Oh man, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem at all. I totally understand.
Reddit, bro, I just started to dive into Reddit. And all the info and all these people and different kind of conversations, man. I like Reddit a lot more than Twitter.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I know. I don't really understand Reddit, actually. It's just like, it's weird.
There's a bunch of communities.
People usually stumble on Reddit because of you search something in Google and then it's like, oh, there you go. There's my problem. Like, you know,
No, like I get that. I just think like the interface is like whack. Like I think it's just like
it's dated. It's very dated.
It is dated. But it's just a bunch of communities.
Yeah, because when you're on the phone, it won't let you view it unless you have the app. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah, it's just too much work. I don't like to like think that much like on my phone.
Yeah. But I do think the Twitter Spaces was a good idea. I mean, they tried to do what Instagram does to everybody and just take the outside ideas and bring it in.
Well, that's what they did to what's that one app where
they did it
only lasts for like 6 seconds? Snapchat.
Oh god.
Oh, that shit died out.
It's still around, but like,
bro,
once Instagram started doing the exact same thing, it's over.
Because you already had your followers there, right? And that's the same thing what Twitter's doing with the Spaces. Like, people already have followers on Twitter, and just to click and grab your audience right there and say, hey, come into my thing. It's genius. I don't think it's working out though.
No. I don't see a lot of people using it. Not on my
We need
shit.
a bunch of influencers.
But there's a bunch of influencers already on Twitter, right?
Bro, it doesn't always happen that way because look at Quibi. I was just talking to my girl yesterday about Quibi.
Is that still a thing?
No,
they died.
Done.
I tried watching some stuff, but you can't. They tried to shorten it. They said they want short form median for your phones, but it was like
less than 10 minutes. Less than 10-minute episodes.
Yeah. So, but 10 minutes, man. Yeah. But it was like it's like a short form of a long medium.
The dopest feature.
You know what I mean? Instead of actually making short form, like how they do on Snapchat and Instagram. Like those are specifically made. They try to condense a long show. I don't think that works.
They had a dope feature. It just didn't work. If you guys knew, they had you could turn your phone.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching landscape and he's like walking through a forest, if I turn my phone portrait, it'll be a different angle of like the person who's about to kill him watching him. Kind of thing, right? So
it was really cool.
It was cool, good tech. But most shows, once you turn it over, they would just crop in, and I'm like,
they crop.
Got lazy as shit, like, you know what I mean? But speaking of that, I know throughout the years that I've known Arliss, he was always saying you were doing like short forms. Like, what are you working on?
Sure. Oh, I'm. Can I talk about? I can't talk about that. I'm working on things. I took a long break from filmmaking just to get my degree and do all that shit.
Degree in
social work.
Okay.
I'm a social worker. That's fun. But yeah, I'm working on something I can't talk about right now, but yeah, I direct and write and edit. And
what's the last piece of work you did? The last piece of work you did?
Yeah, short film for Bell Media.
Oh.
Okay, so it was how do I explain this? They paired a filmmaker with a band. I'm the filmmaker, and the band was above Top Secret, and I had to make a short film I think it was in 3 days. That could be a lie, but I'm just gonna say 3 days for now. That was inspired by the song, and I made one about trauma and a murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Wow. And a murder. Where can we find it?
I would prefer not to share where you can find it.
Okay.
Because
leave it at that.
Yeah.
Where can our audience find you?
On IG, Polyamorous Black Girl.
Any other? You got Twitter? Do you have any other social media links?
IG is the best place. I have a website, polyamorousblackgirl.com, and Facebook, but if to actually connect with me, Instagram is my hotspot. I like it best there.
Okay, dope.
So check that out, guys.
Yo, we appreciate you coming. This was fun. I hope you had fun talking to us and enlightening us and having a respectful conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what's missed in today's world. Nobody wants to talk about shit that they might agree or disagree with. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And some people are too vocal, so there's that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yo. All right. So we gonna close it out. So we appreciate everybody for listening. Serious Business, Not So Serious podcast. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Yo, our Twitter. Maybe we should start a Twitter space.
We should.
Serious Business.
That'd be fun.
Serious Biz underscore pod. Instagram, Serious Business Podcast. Make sure that you spell business BIZNESS. Our YouTube, Serious Biz. And through everything that we talked about, yo, realizing that Donkey Kong is the greatest game of all time.
Close to it, yeah.
Learning about polyamory and realizing that we might be the old heads in today's generation.
Oh.
Really hope that you take us seriously, but at the same time, we hope you don't. Thank you for listening, and we out.
Like 3 strikes.
Bang, bang, bang.
This is serious.